Hi guys. So I thought that maybe this would be a better way to talk about things instead of having you guys listen while we're on Zoom. So let me know how this goes. Let me know if you can hear me and if you have any like tips or suggestions. This is the first time that I do anything like this. So building off from the chemistry assignment last week, we are going to now be looking at ingredient decks and determining like what product they are for the assignment, but this is going to help you also look at your own skincare products and other products and your clients' products to see if it is effective or if they should like look at something else. So when we're reading, and also guys, I'm going to just try to do this without pausing a lot because I don't want to like edit this, and I know that might be bad. I kind of expect this to be bad since I don't know how to talk. So I've written myself a script to read, but you guys know I like to go on tangents. So we'll see how this goes. Anyway, when we're reading an ingredient deck, we can break this down into 5 steps. First being is listing the ingredients in that deck. Then determining what the ingredient is. So is it a surfactant? Is it an emollient? Starting at the bottom, just because these ingredients are usually colors or fragrances or preservatives, and they're easier to get out of the way first. The next thing that you can identify is the active ingredients. So these are things like enzymes or exfoliants or even like lighteners, things that are going to be like the purpose of the product, basically. I will say that not everything that ends in an acid is an acid or formulated for that to be the working acid. Sometimes people use lactic acid to balance the formulation, and citric acid is another pH adjuster that is used commonly. And these are used not as exfoliants, again, they are used to kind of like bring a formulation that is too acidic back down to the more acid scale, since the skin is slightly acidic. So it's going to help balance that pH. The next thing that we do is just look at what's left, and you don't have to go from bottom to top this time. You can just go from the top. Usually after water, water is kind of always going to be a major ingredient in a formulation because it's a vehicle. But after water, the second ingredient in a formula is the highest in quantity. So it's an important thing to determine what the product is. And then the rest of it is really just the balance of the formulation. The balancing ingredients are what the actives are dispersed through. So working through the balance of ingredients, you should be able to determine the quality, the purpose of the product, and sometimes even the price point, although I'm not going to get super into price point right now. And I keep like switching my, okay, that worked. I keep switching my slide and it doesn't work. So if I have to like tap down a lot, don't judge me. But we covered most of these. I'm going to cover a little bit more in depth before we get into the assignment. So emollients serve 2 functions. They prevent dryness and they protect the skin by acting as a barrier and healing agent and soothing and softening the skin. They reduce roughness, cracking, and irritation by replacing the acid mantle, which is a protective barrier on the stratum corneum. Emollients help place, spread, and keep other substances on the skin. They're made up of lipids, substances like fats, oils, and waxes, and they lay on top of the skin and prevent dehydration by trapping water and decreasing transepidermal water loss. So this will include things like occlusives, which we see right now, like that are trending, and we can kind of start to see why someone would put petroleum oil on their face when we like understand what it's doing. So it's winter, people feel dry right now, and there's less humidity in the air. So people want that extra hydration. Emollients are usually water and oil emulsions, emollient-based creams, with oil being the larger component. There are generally different types of oils. So we have mineral oils that are from sources like liquid paraffin, mineral oil, and petroleum. Then there are botanical oils from plants like coconut oil, palm oil, hemp seed oil. I'm not saying those are good oils. We have covered oils extensively, but those are just examples. And then there are silicones, which are chemically combined silicone and oxygen that leave a film on the skin. They act as vehicles for spreading, and they can help keep moisture trapped while allowing oxygen into and out of the follicles. Frequently used in sunscreens, foundations, and moisturizers. Then we have fatty acids, which are derived from plants or animals. Fatty alcohols, which are fatty acids that have been exposed to oxygen. They're not typically drying and they have a wax-like consistency. And fatty esters are formed by combining fatty acids and fatty alcohols, and they can lubricate the skin evenly. Something about fatty esters is that the ingredient name will usually always end in ATE, like this first one, glycerol stearate, always ends in 8, or, a lot of the time ends in 8, not always. Ceramides can also be a part of an emollient, but they can also be humectants. Next, surfactants are cleansing agents, foaming agents, and emulsifiers that create a mixture of oil and water. The molecules of surfactants have a water-loving head and an oil-loving tail. There are detergents that are primarily used in cleansing products because they cause the substance to foam, and that removes oil, dirt, makeup, and other surface debris. Most surfactants are emulsifiers or surface active agents. Emulsifiers can be oil and water emulsions or water and oil emulsions. So they cause oil and water to mix. Without the emulsions, a lot of skincare products would not mix and they would separate in 2 layers. The emulsions surround oil particles, which allow them to remain evenly distributed throughout the water. So oil and water emulsions keep oil drops mixed in water, and they're used in hydrating products like light lotions and serums. And water and oil emulsions are water drops mixed in oil. And that's for rich moisturizers or night creams. And then we have humectants. A humectant is any substance that is hygroscopic, which means it has the ability to form hydrogen bonds with molecules of water. And they can absorb water from both the air and the lower layer of the epidermis. So the transport of water from the stratum corneum temporarily increases, or to the stratum corneum, sorry, temporarily increases the surface water level of the skin and the skin's hydration. Yeah, when we don't have that water content in the skin, we're not going to have water in the stratum corneum. Like, that process is going to be inhibited. So humectants are usually molecules with one or more hydrophilic groups attached to them. The hydrophilic groups are the amines, which are like urea or amino acids, which we have covered, which amino acids are hydrating. The carboxyl group, which is like fatty acids or alpha hydroxy acids. The hydroxyl groups like glycerin, sorbitol, betaline, and other glycols. So I have separated some humectants into 2 categories: humectants that form films and humectants that absorb water from the air. And that is good to know because the film ones are going to kind of like hydrate or keep all of the hydration inside of the skin, like occlusives. They're forming that film. So it's going to be harder for that to like, evaporate. And then when a humectant is absorbing water from the air, it has to be effective, or to be effective, it has to be in an environment where there is a lot of like humidity in the air for it to actually be hydrated. When a humectant that absorbs water from air is not in an environment that has a lot of water from the air, it can actually be drying. So that's good to know too. Okay, then we have preservatives. So they prevent bacteria, fungi, mold, and other microorganisms from living in a product. They extend the shelf life and protect against chemical changes that could negatively affect a product. Traditional preservatives include formaldehyde releasers and parabens. A formaldehyde releaser is a chemical compound that slowly releases formaldehyde. It is a controversial ingredient, but like in small amounts, it's used in cosmetics and they generally don't pose a health risk. I'm not saying they're good, I'm just telling you what it is. Organic acids and natural alternatives include the ones that are on the list, and some antioxidants are also used as preservatives. When they are used to extend the shelf life of a product and reduce the rate of oxidation in formulas. So shelting agents work by breaking down the cell walls of bacteria and other microorganisms and allow preservatives to be effective longer. So you will see shelting agents used alongside preservatives. And then fragrances. The thing about fragrances is, not natural fragrances, just like fragrances in general, is that the company can put anything in the fragrance and not disclose it because it is a part of their fragrance. So it's kind of iffy. Like you can allow anything inside of the fragrance, basically. The FDA does not really control a lot of it. So a lot of the more like natural brands will use just essential oils as fragrances, and you'll be able to see those in formulation outside of like just the general label of fragrance. They'll usually list all of the essential oils. So this is going to be an example of our assignment. Here is a formula of a product. So the first thing that we're going to do is list what each thing in that formulation is. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but you'll see here that I've already kind of gone through and labeled each of these things. So let's just take a moment. And I know what this product is, so like maybe pause it if you want to wait to see everything, like to really analyze it well. But basically, we can just determine that this is a cleanser. There's a lot of surfactants here and some exfoliating things, like this is pomegranate as like an exfoliation. And then there is some papaya, for like enzymatic exfoliation, but it's mostly used as a skin conditioner in this formulation. But once I have done this with each ingredient, we see that like there is kind of, I think there's 4 surfactants, and generally you're not going to have that many surfactants in a formulation if it's not a cleanser, honestly. But something that I do want you guys to do in the homework, I have 1 cleanser. Tell me what kind of cleanser it is. Like oil cleanser, a milky cleanser, a gel cleanser, or like a foaming cleanser. And then we'll be able to kind of deduct further with that information. So like I said, this is a cleanser, and it is this active enzyme wash. So the description is active enzyme wash is our answer to all your skin cleansing problems. It doesn't strip the skin, it isn't drying, and it does a phenomenal job of keeping things dirt, sweat, makeup, and grime free. Oh yeah, and it has a special ingredient, fermented pomegranate enzymes. These enzymes are everything you want from AHAs, but with the added bonus of all of the anti-aging supportive factors from pomegranates. So I'm not going to read all of it. You guys can read all of it if you want to. But I Googled the formulation deck and I got like a lot of brands that use this as a cleanser. But you will see on this like picture here that it's actually a lab that you can just buy your cleansers from. Not you, but like if you wanted to start a skincare line. And I was kind of like talking about this yesterday in class, but this is private labeling. So a lot of people do this. It's really common. And yeah, so the more you know, right? If you guys have any questions about the chemistry assignment, I will answer them. I'll be available by email. But basically, you have 3, like, what are they called? Ingredient decks. And I want you to break them down like we did here, and then tell me what the product is. So you have 3 of those, and then you have to do that with 2 of your own skincare products. I know that you guys already know, obviously, what those products are, but just tell me how you feel about them now. Maybe you were using something that isn't that helpful for you. Or maybe you're using something with like a lot of, I don't know, sensitizing ingredients. You know, the more that you familiarize yourself with the ingredients that are in formulations, the more you will be able to recognize and the more you'll be able to analyze someone's skincare routine without having to like spend hours doing it. So yeah, that is all.